All right, Shira, welcome to episode 198 of the podcast, inching closer to 200, which is very exciting. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing pretty well. Um, Before we dive into, what you're doing in the space and everything, tell me a little bit more about yourself and your background. Definitely curious. I'm sure other people are as well. Like, what's your story? How did you kind of find yourself in this crazy, wonderful world of crypto and blockchain?
Well, thank you so much for having me. Really excited to be here. So, I think I'm kind of like a noob in the industry, actually.
Hmm.
I've been working at Citibank on the global brand team focused on brand innovation. And during my time there, was connected to one of the current advisors at Snickerdoodle, Mike Tabasco. Um, and he's wonderful, and we just really like connected. And in trying to kind of figure out my next step, he said, "Would you ever want to work at a blockchain startup?" This was probably in February, March of this year, and my response was, what's blockchain and like who's on the team and what are they doing and well, like why do you think this would work? And so I said, well, send me some like articles or podcasts to kind of narrow down my understanding of it and what the team is focusing on. And I had that moment, which I now realize like everybody has, where you're just like you go down a rabbit hole where like you're almost like falling through the looking glass of like, is this real? Is this possible? Are all of these ideas that I'm having, is this what we're talking about here? Is this the direct, like it just felt like completely inspired, very creative, and also very confused, like why I hadn't had it come across my radar. And
Hmm.
so was connected to the team and really just started asking questions and trying to understand um, their vision and, which led to, me becoming COO, because really what I think of what I'm doing here is translating their ambitious vision that I fully believe in into reality every day. So that's kind of the backstory.
Cool. So you haven't had much prior experience in crypto and blockchain until recently, I guess, getting into this job, right?
No, I mean, I had heard of it. It was,
Hmm.
in mainstream from like a Bitcoin perspective, but no, had no true understanding of the potential, and was not part of my professional life. And so I think that learning something new is really awesome. It can be anxiety provoking, but ultimately it's
Hmm.
just been really super fun. And I just see so much um, opportunity for Snickerdoodle and for the industry, and I'm just super psyched to be part of it.
Yeah. How do you feel about being a part of it now? It's such a crazy space. There's so much going on. Learning new things every day. Even I am.
Yeah,
You can't get bored.
no, I can't keep up, honestly.
Hmm.
It just moves at a pace that I maybe I'm getting used to it a little bit, but I can't keep up. And I think that it's what's so exciting about it, is that everybody is being creative and exploring and finding new ways and applications, and it almost becomes like new ways for others to be hooked in. So how can you just get more people? You just need that one hook for somebody to like, flip a switch and connect for them, and then that's like really the entry point. And so I like that too. I like that there's a lot going on. I like that it's coming from a lot of different industries and then like converging within like the like core technology infrastructure of it. And then we'll hopefully then just bring in more people. I mean, it does feel like though, like if I see a podcast or something, I'm like, well, when was that
Hmm.
recorded? Was that 2 months ago? Because that's probably out of date. But that's like, I mean, that's never existed in any other part of my life, but it's been really fun.
Yeah, I love learning about new things in the space, and you can't get bored. There's always something going on. It's incredibly hard to keep up with it all, but
Yeah.
at least it keeps it exciting. Like there's a lot of spaces you can be in, a lot of industries, and it can kind of feel boring or like not enough's happening. So at least in this space, there's always something going on.
For sure. I mean, there's just so many different applications of like what it could
Hmm.
be, right? Even just to be able to, think really big, like what could this really turn into? Where could this go? And it, without any sort of limitation, that is fantasy world to be able to like think so freely. So I really like that. I think for some people that feels like overwhelming, but for me, it's like super inspiring.
Yeah, for me as well. I feel the same way. What are you guys doing with Snickerdoodle? And I got to be honest, anything named after a cookie sounds pretty good to me. So it's got to be a cool company.
Well, so we're ultimately like a data company using blockchain technology to really empower individuals to own, control, store, and use through like to opt in to use their data when appropriate. And so I feel like there's like a juxtaposition with like our name and what we're doing, but we're really thinking about using NFTs as the cookies of Web3. So that's the connection. It is fun to feel like we're serious people with a serious vision, and our name immediately is very disarming and warm and welcoming, and that is intentionally done. We haven't really encountered anybody that has some sort of negative connotation with or experience with a snickerdoodle. So it's fun, and the intention is really to just bring more people on and to make it easy and to really focus on the individual and the user experience, which I think is a huge opportunity for the whole industry, especially as somebody who's new for me to, I'm experimenting and I'm trying to get deeper and to build my knowledge base, but it's really hard. And there's a lot of talk about bringing more mainstream people on, but the experience needs to be very much improved in order for that to happen. And that's a huge component of what we're trying to do at Snickerdoodle.
Yeah, in terms of people being able to own their own data, how are you guys going about accomplishing that, or are you guys creating a product for that? Are you working with other teams to make that a reality, or what's the mission?
So we will have a protocol that we're building, but we're also building applications on that protocol. So it'll be tools to allow individuals to create an account and link their digital wallets, and then generate a user profile that will include publicly available information through the linked wallet. That profile will be owned by each individual, and then they'll be able to control how their profile is shared, and ultimately be able to provide businesses and enterprises access to different pieces of that data where they see fit in exchange for rewards. So that's like the basic premise. There's a lot of future applications and creative ways that we're considering implementing into our roadmap, but that's really the start of it.
What are some of these creative ways that you want to implement it?
I mean, I think like as like an experiment, we just announced, this was maybe in October, middle of October, NFT Loteria. So that was Loteria is it's almost like Mexican bingo. Our CEO and co-founder, Jonathan Padilla, is Hispanic, and there's a lot of history that he has in playing that game, and really wanting to just make a connection to the Latinx community and be able to bring them on board. And so we worked with Hispanic Heritage Foundation and Latino Community Fund and Rising Tide Foundation. And so really trying to figure out ways to both align like purpose and profit. How can we, bring our tech? How can we to support nonprofits? How can we bring more people into the fold to start thinking about how they could be, building profiles, owning their data, and almost starting to realign incentives for all users across the internet. So I think doing more within like a social impact space is work that I have done previously that I feel like is just, there's so much opportunity there, because it doesn't have to be profit or purpose. It can be both, and it should be both. And moving in that direction to me feels creative and inspiring and starts to connect a lot of dots. So things along those lines is what I get really jazzed about.
What kind of info or data, more specifically, is it basic stuff like name, address, email address, phone number type of ordeal, or?
Yeah, I mean, from the start, it'll be pretty you know, minimal. So
Hmm.
TBD on what that exact data is going to be that will be in that profile. But like, even if it was just like your age, um, location, one piece of information to be able to provide some context and personalize the publicly available data that or activity that you are doing across Web3. That in itself is just kind of like step one. Where that goes is really down towards a path of almost digital ID. So there's a lot of you know, government application for that, and it just is a matter of how things take shape from a partnership perspective and integration perspective of the additional data. But there's as far as I'm aware, I don't feel like there's like a limitation of what that would look like. It's almost just a matter of how do we find the balance of wanting to make sure people understand that they're controlling it and wanting to give them opportunity to share it, but not wanting to have the experience be too complex from the jump. And it's really more around in exchange for rewards that would be of value to an individual as opposed to some sort of like microtransaction.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool. Like every time I log into a website and it gives me like an option to log in through like Facebook or Google,
Yeah,
it's really helpful. But it'd be cool if there was another option because I know that they're taking information from that site in some way. There's some benefit to
totally.
them
Totally.
doing that. So it'd be cool to have some kind of blockchain digital identity where you could do
Yeah.
that and still log in and have something fulfilled without
Yeah.
having to go through one of these big companies.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, you know, the ability to almost be like a single sign-on to some extent, like in that same way.
Hmm.
But really, the intention is just it's a mindset shift and wanting to have individuals like know exactly what it is that's being shared, to be able to give them control over what is shared, how long it's shared for, who it's being shared with. So right now, you enjoy that benefit. It makes your experience easier. And so you say, yes, I'll sign on without any sort of understanding of potential exposure you might have because you just want a more seamless experience. But we think that there's the opportunity to do both, where you could have a more seamless experience, but also still understand kind of what you're doing, and you can make the choice of whether or not you want to opt into that. So it's just that realignment. It's not necessarily a recreation of the current digital experience or experience somebody would have online now, but just to give a little bit more um, there's like a power shift and control, given that it is your data and you're generating it. It seems obvious, at least to me, that you should be controlling it.
Yeah, totally. You mentioned something about rewards earlier too. Is
Yeah.
that like an incentive for companies to use this, or how does that work?
Yeah. So, we have a phased approach where we know that this is like a big, um, ambitious project to tackle, and we want to do it in the right way with the right partners, and really test and learn to make sure that we're moving as efficiently as possible. So in our roadmap, step one is really data and analytics. Step two is thinking more towards like a Web3 advertising play. So if we are connecting brands and individuals, um, we can work with brands to bring them onto Web3 and specifically using NFTs and be able to reward their customers with NFTs, which would be of value to those customers. And then next step is being able to connect with customers who are not just within their universe, but within the Snickerdoodle universe. So we know that individuals are motivated based on content or collectibles more than they would be for an amount associated with their data. And so that's where we're going with this. And we know it's beneficial for brands, and it gives you the ability to have hyper accurate targeting without compromising privacy of the individual, and being able to adhere to any sort of data privacy regulation, which I think is a huge selling point for brands to be part of it.
Yeah, that'd be really cool if you could receive rewards in the form of an NFT. Just going
Yeah.
shopping somewhere, getting maybe instead of getting
Yep.
points, you get an NFT or I don't know, some kind of loyalty system. That'd be really cool. I've thought about that for quite a long time.
Yeah. I mean, we have an example on one of the demos that, if you are purchasing a shoe from a major shoe company, And you could then have as part of it, it could say sign up for a Snickerdoodle account. You own that, TBD on exactly what that language is. But if you do that, you'll be able to receive a digital twin of the shoe. And then obviously you own that NFT. You can do what you want with it, but that is something that's there and feels tangible and it feels connected to your purchase, but it also is added value. You're able to do what you want with that NFT. And so it's interesting to think about what the consumer behavior would be like in kind of some of those scenarios. And that's really fun to kind of game out and discuss internally with the team.
What blockchain are you guys building on?
Yeah. So our core infrastructure is on Solana. The team was all just in Lisbon. We sit all over the place. So we're fully global remote team. And anytime we can spend together in person is really fun. So we were all in Lisbon for the Solana Breakpoint conference. That's where our core infrastructure will be based, but ultimately we believe in a multi-chain future. So we'll be expanding to allow for cross-chain applications.
Got it. Why did you guys choose to build on Solana? There's lots of options out there. What stood out that made you guys want to do that?
Well, one, just what we're looking for is a way to have a lot of transactions that happen with as little as possible in gas fee. Also, I mean, it's no secret, Sam Bankman-Fried is an advisor, and so we're working on Solana both because we believe in the tech there, but also it was guidance from advisors.
Got it.
Yeah.
A couple more questions before we wrap up. What's your guys's, I think you mentioned it already, but your timeline and your roadmap, what are some things you have on that going into the new year that you think are pretty cool or important or that you think people should keep an eye on?
Yeah. So we are moving towards like MVP of our product to launch like early in Q1. Also working with partners on integrating into their system. So more to come on that. And then it will just be a phased approach into like having those Snickerdoodle accounts, being able to provide the data analytics and start to work with brands on what campaigns would look like for them. And then move into the like full Web3 advertising where it's, to their group of customers, but then also to the expanded Snickerdoodle audience. So it's kind of like building product, but also building users to demonstrate the validity and potential of our product. But it's all moving towards digital ID. But I think that depending on what our partners look like, and there's lots of different ways to go from like a gaming perspective, and would also like to see some additional projects similar to Loteria. Obviously not like a recreation of a Mexican bingo game, but to see some more of those social impact partnerships for us as a team to learn more about, how we could use our tech and flex our understanding of what's going on, but also to kind of use our forces for good. Like that always feels like an opportunity, and that, as I said, is something that I'm like really into. So
nice.
That's the plan. Yeah.
Cool. Where can people go to keep up with all this stuff and Snickerdoodle and check it out? And where can they go to keep up with you?
So, I mean, Twitter, Snickerdoodle is our handle. So you can check out there. We're in the process of updating our website. So there will be a lot more information there. And we'll get into more detail on the site of who we are, who we're working with, what our products look like, and we'll give you a better sense of our vibe. So that update should be coming out probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks. But Snickerdoodle or on LinkedIn, and definitely just feel free to reach out. Happy to connect with anybody, and happy to make connections to the rest of the team. We're very open, and I think what's best about the industry, it just feels very collaborative and supportive, and happy to continue doing that for anybody else who is interested in learning more.
Cool. Sounds good. It's a good place to wrap it up. A lot of good content in there. Shira, thank you for taking the time to come on the show and really explain what you guys are doing at Snickerdoodle. And I love the name too. I mean, it's perfect going into the holidays. And we'd love to talk to you guys again in the future when you guys have more coming out as well. So let me know. You're always welcome back on the show.
Great. Totally. Thank you so much for having me. It was fun chatting.
Of course. Anytime.
Bye.